Welcome everyone to today's World of Fiery webinar. Today we'll be covering tips, tricks and advice on how to get the most from Fiery Command WorkStation so that you and your business can be even more productive and efficient than you already are. Today's webinar team is Greta Conlon, Senior Product Owner of Fiery Command WorkStation. She'll be showing us live some of the wonderful things that Fiery Command WorkStation can do for you. We also have Carlos Garay-Cochea, our product marketing specialist for Fiery Command WorkStation. He'll be asking us questions on your behalf along the way. And also myself, Kerry Maloney, product marketing manager for Fiery Command WorkStation. I'll be helping host today's session. So another introduction that I'd like to make is to Fiery Command WorkStation itself. I'm pretty sure you all know what Command WorkStation is as you're on today's webinar, but I'd like to mention a few fundamentals to set the scene. So Command WorkStation is the world's most popular digital print job management interface, and it's free. Well, more accurately, it's actually included with all Fiery servers, but all upgrades are actually free of charge. And these regular upgrades bring new features. Also to note that Command WorkStation can connect to cut sheet, wide to super wide, and high-speed inkjet Fiery-driven printers, and that's unique to Fiery technology. Plus, you can install Command WorkStation on as many Mac and PC clients as you wish. But what does all this actually mean in reality? Well, it means that you get the most out of your digital printing equipment, plus can create the most efficient and productive digital printing environments. So here's a quick reminder as to what we're going to cover today. First, Greta will show us how to find out about new features, and then we're going to cover tips on creating the perfect Command WorkStation setup. After that, we'll talk about the various ways to submit jobs and the benefits of each method. And once we have our jobs, of course, you need to know the most effective ways to manage them. And then we want to talk about where to get help on Command WorkStation when you need it. And although Carlos will ask questions along the way, we will have time at the end to answer as many submitted questions as we can. And as a reminder, place your questions in the Q&A or chat windows. Okay, before we begin, we're going to take a quick poll. You should now see the poll questions to the bottom right of your screen. And what we'd like to know is what version or versions of Command WorkStation you're running. If you're running more than one, select all that apply. And if you don't know, simply select don't know. And the poll will stay on your screen for a total of 1 minute to give you the chance to complete it. And don't forget to click submit. Thank you. Okay, so Greta, let's make a start with how to find out about the latest tools and features in Fiery Command WorkStation.
Certainly, Kerry, absolutely. Well, we're assuming that you already know Command WorkStation, so let's start from if you already have it running and perhaps you want to see what's new and what's coming in the newer release. So first of all, we manage upgrades with Fiery Software Manager. So in Windows, it's sitting in your sys tray down here. In Mac, it's in your applications menu. And you can see here that it shows all of your installed applications and applications that have updates waiting and other things you can install as well. So I'm up on the latest version of Command WorkStation, which is 6.7 SP1. However, you can see if there was something new, it would say available version and installed version. And if you click down on the down arrow, you can actually find out about new features for Fiery-driven cut sheet, Fiery-driven wide and super wide, and also read the release notes. So if you click on that link, I'm going to click on cut sheet, then it will take you to our website directly to the area where it shows you all of the new features in the new release. So you can choose whether you want to upgrade to this release, what to look for, that sort of thing. Also, in Command WorkStation itself, when you first install a new version, you'll get this What's New window popping up, and it's always available from the Help menu later on. And that will show you also all of the information of the features in the latest release. So there's quick little videos you can watch as well. Encourage you to check them out. And right up the top, there's also a What's New guide. And that's a full guide, a full PDF, which goes into much more detail all about those features. Again, it links directly to our website on efi.com. So that's the What's New area. Of course, on efi.com, you can just go directly to, one moment, here we go. If you're not already in Command WorkStation, go to Products, Fiery Command WorkStation, choose if you're cut sheet or wide or super wide, and there you can see all about the what's new, all the different information about new releases.
So Greta, we have a first question. Why it is important to be on the latest version of Fiery Command WorkStation?
Yeah, it is important because you'll get all of the latest features, but you'll also get all of the latest bug fixes. And you'll also get the latest operating system compatibility. Oh, and one thing I forgot to show you a moment ago, and that is when we show an upgrade in Fiery Software Manager, we'll only show the upgrade if it's compatible with your Fiery. So if you have a Fiery which is an older version not supported, maybe you had an FS100, then we won't show you the upgrade unless you've got at least one Fiery that is applicable to this update. And the same for your operating system too. So if you're running, let's say, an old Mac OS like Mac OS 10.12, and the new release only supports 10.14 and up, you won't see the update. So if you see an update, you can be aware that it supports at least one of your Fiery servers that have been connected in the past.
Okay, thank you guys. And Carlos, do you have the poll results to show us, please?
Sure.
Okay, so, okay, good to see that quite a high percentage are on the latest 3 versions. Some people don't know, and we do have still a few people on older versions like version 5X. So thank you for that information. Okay, so Greta, you're gonna now tell us and give us some tips on creating the perfect setup, right, and why that matters.
Sure. So Command WorkStation, Job Center is really where it's all at. Of course, this is where you'll spend most of your time running and organizing jobs. And so you can set up things actually to make it faster for yourself. Obviously, on the left-hand side, you've got your server pane. You can easily add your servers. Just click on the plus button, and then it will browse and show you your servers, or you can just type in the name or IP. We save passwords too, but we'll only save the last password that you logged in as. So if you log in as admin today, we save that password. But if you log in as operator tomorrow, then we discard that admin password and just save the operator password. So just be aware of that. We only save one password at a time. And up here, if we look, there's the toolbar. So this is another place you can customize. You can right click on the toolbar anywhere, and say customize. And you can see the selected tools that I've already got and available tools. So I use Impose all the time. So I'm going to add that, and I can move it right up the top too. Right, and I'm going to go down here. I don't use sample print so often, so I'm going to remove that one. There we go, say OK. And you can see now Impose is my first option there. So you can select whatever you like and as many as you can fit there into your toolbar. And moving down into the columns here, you can also customize the columns that you're seeing. So these columns represent an attribute of a job, right? Whether it's spooled or processed or archived or printed, username, etc. And you can right click on any column and add anything else that you want. And they're grouped into groups very much like job properties. So let's say, for example, in media, a media weight is important to me. I'll add that, and now I can see exactly what media weight each of my jobs are set for. So anything can be added or removed. I'll click remove here. You can move things around too. So maybe output paper size, want that over here. There you go. User, move that around. So customize as much as you like. You can keep adding them until you scroll to the right. If you want to. And we've had also customers that have said, look, I'm working on smaller monitors, or I just need a lot of room to see a lot of job attributes, a lot of columns. In that case, you can also minimize the server pane. This has been requested from some users who only have one Fiery server, right? And they're not using the consumables tab, that they don't have trays listed. So in which case you can collapse it with this little button down bottom left, see? So you can collapse that to get even more room, and you can still move between the queues with this queue drop down here. Right, so that's if you want even more room, you can collapse these job summary pane on the right hand side. Right, so you could have a hell of a lot of columns there if you wanted to. So just another way that you can customize the interface to make it better for you. Now inside job properties, so if you double click on a job, you can open job properties. Job properties, of course, is all of the attributes assigned to that job. In here, quick access tab is a place where you can customize anything that you want. So I'll make this a bit smaller. Hang on. There we go. You can customize quick access to add things that are important to you. So put all your favorite settings here, and then in the future, you can just go to this tab and not have to go to all the other tabs. So I use color mode a lot. Let's see. We added more color settings in the last couple of releases. So you'll see more if you're on the latest. Perhaps finishing is important. Perhaps I want to see offset jobs, that sort of thing. And you can move things up and down. So I'm going to say color mode right at the top. Thank you. Say OK. There you go. So you can see you can set anything you want in here. You can put in as much as you want until it starts scrolling if you want. But it's a really quick way of using job properties. A lot of people we see just go to quick access tab and very rarely access these other tabs. It just saves you extra clicks every time you're setting up a job. And by the way, did you know you can actually customize the defaults here? Right, so you can see this one's set to duplex top to top by default, and that was to save paper for this particular printer. This is an office printer. So I'm going to cancel out of here and show you how. So under the server menu, so you can either go to server up here, or you can just click on the three dots next to the server. And under here go set defaults. And this opens up job properties in defaults mode, right? It's default settings mode. And in here you can say, okay, this is where I want duplex to be off by default, or whatever, or any setting you want. So pretty much everything in job properties can be customized here, right? You could say, I always want to output to the main stacker tray or whatever. They can all be customized. And if you lock something, so let's say if I lock color mode, then that means that that value can't be overridden at the time of job submission. So that's meaning when the job's coming in, but once the job's sitting in the queue, like in the whole queue, printer queue, or wherever, then those locks can be overridden. Then it's all open. But it's a good way. For example, we've got a university, and they've got a bunch of printers, high-speed printers, and the students are printing off, large, reports and thesis and stuff like that. They've set it to top, and grayscale, locked it down. So even though in their print drivers they can say color and no duplex, it's going to default to grayscale and top, right? And then they get the student releases it. Only if they get permission can they actually override those settings. So yeah, I'll put this back to color and duplex off because again, it's not my printer. But that's just another thing you can customize in there. And inside job properties, just to save you a bit of time, you can also, once you've set up your job, imagine I'm setting various settings, you don't have to close it to be able to print it. You can print it right from here, right? So there's a fold down button here for job actions. It'll show you all the jobs actions available for that job. So it'll be different depending on the status of the job. So you can just click process and hold. It just saves you from clicking the close button, then right clicking, then selecting process and hold, that sort of thing. So there's lots of ways to accelerate what you're doing. Some people prefer to just use the right click menu to access all the job actions. Some people prefer to use the toolbar up the top. Some people prefer to use server menus and actions menus up here. Other people like shortcut keys. Control P print works, right? So there's lots of shortcuts. In fact, we've even got a list of them in our help files as well. Back to you, Kerry.
Well, Greta, we have one question here. If I've set up my if I set my computer up, can I share that with others?
Yes, you can. Good point, Carlos. Yeah, so if you've set up your command workstation, it's all nice. Now you can go to Edit Preferences, and you can say Export, and now you can export those settings for use with another computer. So I'm going to export to my desktop, give it a name, and save. It's a small zip file. And inside that, you've got your Fiery server list, you've got your columns, the toolbar, and the save to use. You've got quick access settings, local presets, impose templates, all of it, right? So it's a really quick way to firstly back it up, so you don't have to set it up again later. It's also a great way to set up multiple computers. So you can go and set up another 3 or 4 computers, or Macs or Windows. That one file will work with both Mac and Windows. So you can just install Command Workstation, import that file, and now it'll have all the same settings that you do.
Excellent.
Great stuff, Greta. Okay, so on to job submission. I think it's fair to say, Greta, that there are many ways to submit jobs to Fiery servers. Tell us about the different ways and how to save some time using presets.
Certainly, absolutely. Yeah, there are heaps of ways to submit jobs. Everything from your old school print via print driver, right down to, of course, printing via various upstream workflows. Could be digital storefront or other storefront type technologies, job flow, could be any types of servers, production. So once the jobs come in, they can come in either via driver, they can come in via LPR, any of the the normal print protocols, LPR 9100, SMB print, etc. You can also import jobs directly into Command WorkStation. So just select a job, in this case, okay, open, and then you can, in here, in the import dialog, this is actually a good way to be able to start speeding things up, and that is to be able to, you can apply server presets on the way in. I'll show you how to make one in a sec. But a server preset is basically a collection of all the settings in job properties, and it can also contain impose templates. So imagine I'm going to use a very basic one duplex staple for this, but I can say use server preset, duplex staple, and then I'm going to process and hold so I can preview the job right away. So it's a really quick way to do 3 things at once. The job comes in, the settings are applied, it's ripping and holding, so that then I can go and check it. And if I look, I've got my date time column. I'll add that back in. There we go. There we go. There's my job. You can see the workflow. The preset has been applied. It's being ripped and held. I can also see the preview there. And of course, now I can open up, look at the preview, look at image viewer, make changes, anything I want from here. So club your actions together using things like presets, and we'll make a preset now. So let's say I've got a job here, a booklet, right? And I can create a booklet in position various ways. I could do it in the layout tab. There's some basic booklet settings here. Of course, I could use impose for a much more advanced control. I'm just going to do a basic booklet right here. I'm going to say A3 because I'm metric. Right, that will do. And then, of course, you can do your various finishing settings. Going to have to output to the saddle stitch tray. Imagine that I've just done various stapling and creasing settings, that sort of thing. Now, once you've checked it and printed one copy, so printer proof, check it, make sure everything's as it should be. And then once you're happy with it, save a preset from up here, save preset. You can save it as a local preset or a server preset. Local presets are only on my computer here, local to me, and server presets are shared with all users and all workflows of the Fiery. So I'm going to say server preset. Okay. And now I can take any job, right? And let's say if I want this one, this is another booklet job. I can right click and say, hang on, apply workflow. And there it is, booklet A3 demo. And so now that's been easily applied. And I can, of course, apply it on the way in as jobs are coming in imported. I can apply it to a virtual printer. So if I double click on the Fiery to go into Device Center, I can create a virtual printer here, a new virtual printer easily. Oh, that's booklet. Hang on. You get the idea. And you can choose your job action. I'm going to say process and hold for this case. And under job properties, there's my booklet. You can choose to pre-flight as well. I won't go into Job Expert today, but do check it out. There's more information under here. So that virtual printer can now be used via print driver, right? And also for submitting via LPR from upstream. So it could even be, we have customers printing from Unix servers with, very light formatted text, but it comes down and all of their settings are all applied via a preset attached into a virtual printer. So it's a really fast way to do it. And it means you've also got one place to go if you want to edit it. Just edit the preset, and then any virtual printers or hot folders and all that attached to it will inherit the changes right away. I just opened Fiery hot folders, and in here, very quick to set up a hot folder as well. So select my server. In this case, I'm using Fiery Color 2. Okay. Right. And under job properties here, booklet A3 demo, and off we go. Hot folders also allows you to select different import formats. You can convert different formats here too. The list of formats available will be different depending on the capabilities of your Fiery server. But I can say that we've just introduced Freeform Plus as a new. That's our light, easy, free variable printing solution available on EFI.com. It's in Fiery Software Manager as well. But in my case, I just want them to submit PDFs because that's my main workflow. All right. Okay, so now I've got jobs coming in, instantly inheriting a preset, virtual printers with it, hot folders. A good thing about using the server presets is it saves you time on the initial, when you initially set them up. It saves you time then on every single job you print. So the idea is that really you should have a server preset or a workflow. That workflow could be a hot folder or a virtual printer for all of the printed pieces on your price list, assuming you're a print for pay organization. So I'll give you an example. This is actually from a customer. He allowed me to share this with you. This is a customer we're helping out and me with a hot folder issue he had, which we fixed for him in Command WorkStation 6.5 package. But you can see here, he's got 10 Firies, and for each Fiery, he's got loads of hot folders, right? So 30, 40, 50 or more. And each of these represent an item on his price list, right? So although it would have taken him setup, every time he went and printed one of these items from his price list, let's say it could be a booklet with a heavyweight cover. You can see he's even got his impose templates folded in there as well. Every time he's gone, printed a job, proofed it, okay, this is the acceptable, this is the output I want. He then saves that. In this case, he saves it here in a hot folder, and then uses that forevermore and just dragging PDFs onto it. So his operators know when a customer selects that booklet heavyweight cover A3 from the price list, that they always use this corresponding hot folder. That could be a preset as well. And then they're always going to get the right settings. So that means in the future, they don't even have to touch job properties, right? So it saves extra clicks all the time. His hot folders are usually set to process and hold, right? Like I use, because it allows you to go in, check it, check the preview, right? Make sure it looks good, maybe print one proof to sign off, and then you can release the file. So it's going to save you clicks every single time you print that printed piece from now on. So I do encourage you to set up your presets as you go, because it's going to save you time in the end.
Thank you, Greta. Okay, so once we have jobs in, we need ways to find and manage them. I think one of the reasons Fiery Command WorkStation is so popular is the power of its administration tools, right, Greta? So show us some things around that.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the big things we have is a lot of people keep a heap of jobs in the hold queue, and that's fine. It's just you need to then find things. One thing you can do is to start archiving jobs. I'll do that a little bit later, but right now I'll show you in the hold queue. Let's say I want to find a job, right? So I've got loads of jobs in here. I need to find a job. I seem to remember it was called FGS. That was the customer name. So I can just search in this. This is our basic or simple search box. I can search in that, and now it shows me everything that has a match to that search term, and that's matching across all columns, right? So whether it's in the job title, whether it's in the tags column, if I was searching on, a page size, for example, A3, then it's matching not just on the name, but also on the output paper size column or even the workflow column. So the simple search gives you a match across all of the servers. It also can match you across multiple servers at the same time. So if you have 2 or more Fiery servers connected, this feature we introduced in Command WorkStation 6.7, our latest release. So you'll only see it if you have the latest. So if you say search all Fiery servers, I'm now seeing jobs across multiple Firies, right? Fiery Color 1, Fiery Color 2, and Fiery Color XF. All these jobs which match that criteria of M&M. Again, it's searching across the columns you can see on screen, right? So it's a really quick way to be able to find jobs. And then to locate that job exactly, then I want to go and work with it, just double click on it. It goes directly to the all jobs queue of that target Fiery and shows you where the job is, right? So this basic search is very powerful now that you can search across all your Fiery servers. In fact, this was a very highly requested feature in the communities, our website, which we'll show you a bit later. So a lot of people really wanted this. You can also locate the job and show the search on the Fiery server. And you can change the search while you're in here, by the way. So maybe I've changed my mind. I really wanted a job, an FGS job or whatever. One moment, having trouble turning. Right, so as long as this dialog is up, you can search on whatever you want. You can also search across users too, right? So I can see exactly what Giselle's been up to, which Fiery she's been printing to, and where the jobs are. So it's an easy way to be able to track down jobs. And if I select a job, I'll say show on Fiery server. This is also helpful. You've had people telling us that when they're using jobs across, let's say I've got multiple Fiery servers, often if one server has a problem, right? So maybe there's I don't know, one of those huge paper jams where it's going to take a while to get it all out. Or there's something else going on. Sorry about the thumping of the happy dog's tail in the background. So yeah, so in that case, they often send jobs to the other Fiery. So you can right click on a job and say copy to, and that sends a copy to the other Fiery server. Or if you've got a newer server, you can also say move to, right? And that sends the job and then deletes the source job off this Fiery server. But all your Fieries will have the ability to do a copy to, as long as you're connected to one or more Fieries. You can send a copy across there. And then it's, if you want to find that later on, right? So let's say this was a job expert was the name. Then they search using the search across Fiery servers to see where the job went and where it ended up. Search by date time to go, yes, there we go. It ended up on Fiery Color 1 at this particular time. So it's a good way to track. You could even see the history of where your jobs have been and what your users are up to as far as which jobs have been printed. Yep. So that's searching in the basic search. We've also got advanced search. So I'll clear this for the moment. Right. And if I'm looking across my Fiery here, I can also search here where I can say, okay, these are filters. These are basically search filters. I can say, look, just show me the jobs that are processed, right? Okay, apply. And I just want to see jobs that are processed and were from Heather. So now I can see that it's filtered down the jobs based on that. So it can be any criteria that you want. Anything that you can display in a column, you can search on. So you can see these represent my first columns. But if I click on more, then I can add more things, right? So I could search on a workflow. I could search on number of copies, anything you want. You can move things up and down. So I could say copies, but move it up. And if you wanted to add more things to search on, just add more columns. So if I add another column, and let's say perhaps you're using the job notes field, right? In that case, you could search on job notes, just add more, and then say, okay, here's notes. There we are. And now you'll be able to search on the notes field, just type in to be able to match. Yeah, so it's an easy way to be able to search down and filter. You can also search just on today's jobs. So if I want to see something, I know they printed it today, click apply, and there you are. Right, so a very fast way to be able to search and narrow down that list, particularly on, really large amounts of jobs sitting in the queues. And once you've done a search, you can even save the search, save it as a view. So click up here, save. Then I could say, right, this is today's jobs. Oops. A little bit of lag on my keyboard. There we go. Right, so you can see here the saved searches, or views as we call them, show in your server list on the left-hand side underneath the list of queues. And you can have as many as you want. So they could be by any attribute. They could be based on a particular media type, a paper catalog media type that you've currently got loaded. It could be based on a username. I could have a search just for all Giselle's jobs and Heather's jobs and Mike's jobs, for example. Could be based on anything you want. You can also, talking about searching and finding things, I'll get rid of this view now. You can also use tags to be able to identify jobs. So tags, let's right click and I'll show you how to add tags. If you right click on a job and say tags, we added this a couple of releases ago. You can add a tag, and you can add a tag for anything you want. So this is arbitrary, it's up to you. So perhaps waiting for proof. One moment. So maybe we're waiting for proof sign off, right? For this particular, I'll make that blue. And that's got multiple tags on it now. There you go. So it's an easy way to be able to find things based on any criteria you want. Again, it could be a username, and tags show up in the server pane here too, right? So you could have one for end of day. These are jobs that need to be printed by the end of the day. So mark them in there so that the next operator coming on can easily see, okay, we need to get these out the way now. They could be by customer name, right? So if you've got major customers, you're doing a whole lot of print jobs for them today, by all means, make tags for them, and then you can easily use them. So you can have up to 5 tags on a job. You can add the tags column as well. So if I go back to my all jobs, I've re-added it, but I haven't added it in held queue. So tags column we added in the last release in 6.7. So it's under job info. There's the tags column there. Of course, that means you can click to sort by tags. And we've also added it into job properties. We added that also in 6.7. So now you can apply it in job properties, which means you can save it as part of a preset too. Right, so perhaps you want your preset for a particular customer to always use a particular, job setting, but it also wants to have that customer's name attached to it, real estate ABC or something like that. Right, so a really fast way to be able to save a preset with all your settings in, and then you can apply it and it all comes in at the same time. So tags are just another way you can easily find things in your Fiery. I think that's about what I wanted to show.
We have a question, Greta, that someone doesn't see search across all Fiery servers. Why could be that?
Yeah, that could be for 2 reasons. One is you've only got one Fiery connected, then you won't see it. Or the other reason is you're not running 6.7. So you must be running 6.7 in order to see it. We just introduced that feature.
Okay, thank you, Greta. So next we're going to be talking about the places to get help and learn more about Command WorkStation. But are there any features that can help users help themselves?
Yes. Yeah, there are. And probably the first and a little bit boring topic that I always have to bring up is backing up, right? Because it's all fun and games when everything's working perfectly, except, when something goes bang, maybe a hard drive goes off, a hard drive goes bang. Perhaps even you have a scheduled maintenance, like a upgrade of system software. Then the Fiery gets reloaded and you'll lose all of your settings, which means you lose your server presets, you lose everything, all of your jobs to the lot. So the first thing is, start with your jobs, right? So start with jobs, and when you're not using them anymore, if you want to keep them for later, archive them. So we have something called Archive Manager, which we introduced a couple of years back. And this is an easy way to be able to set up and save your jobs off the Fiery server and into another place. Now, be aware we've got 2 different types of Fiery archiving, and I'll show you because this one I kept the old ones in. If you see, so we've got Fiery archiving where it archives to the Fiery itself, and the Fiery server manages those archives. So that's what I call the old school archiving that's been around forever. That's what you've got default out of the box. And if you see archived as a queue underneath here, then that means you're using that you have the ability to use the old archive method. Archive Manager is managed by Command WorkStation, and that means that even if your Fiery is reloaded, you can still get all those jobs and still be perfectly up and running, right? So I highly recommend you set up Archive Manager. If you haven't, just click on it. It's in the top left. If it's missing from there, go to Edit Preferences and click Enable Archive Manager to do so. Right, so I've already got it set up, but when you first go to it, if you haven't set it up before, there'll be a big button in the middle that says Get Started. And the first thing it asks you to do is add a location. Right, so add a place where we can archive these Fiery jobs. Now, I recommend that you archive to something off the Fiery server, again, because if something happens to the Fiery or it's reloaded, you're going to lose everything. Right, so archive to a network server, a network shared folder or a network attached storage, somewhere where it can be backed up and managed as part of your regular files in your environment, right? So then it's safe and it's secure and it's off the Fiery. You can also, it also means that you can point all of your client computers, all of your Command WorkStation installations, to this same folder, and they're all working off the same archive folder now. Right, so it's quick to add it. Right, so if I add something, you can just type in your server name. In my case, I'm going to land on here. Archived Fiery jobs I already have. I'm going to say it's already been added, but you can imagine it'll just say OK and add it there, right? So, and you can set it as default if you want as well. So it goes there by default. So that's the quick way. Just all you need is one location. I really recommend it's off the Fiery server. And then from then onwards, if you go back to your Fiery queue, once the jobs are here, by the way, easy way to get them back into the Fiery is just right click. You can say hold, print or print to delete or any of the actions and select the Fiery server it's going to. So it's a super fast way to be able to do it. But to actually archive the jobs themselves, let's say I want to archive this bunch here, you can click select, shift click and all that. And I'm going to say, okay, archive. Right, so I can choose the location. The default is archive Fiery jobs. You can choose to preserve thumbnails and previews, and that means it's preserving the rasters, the ripped images, and I would recommend not doing that because it makes the job like 10 times or more larger in file size, which means it's going to take longer to backup, longer to transfer to archive to begin with, longer to backup, just using space unnecessarily because the rips are so fast these days. This used to make sense back when the rips were slower and it took you half an hour to rip a job. But these days they're so fast that, particularly with PDF workflows, most jobs are ripping in seconds or less. So I would really recommend not checking that. It'll take the job. It'll take all of the job settings with it, everything in job properties, your workflow settings, all of that are included. It just won't include the actual raster image. So it just means you have to rip and hold it when you get it back. And then you can choose to always prompt for archive locations. If you don't want this, so if I'm going to turn that off for now, say OK. Now this, if you want to set it up so that your operators can never choose the wrong thing, then next time they go to archive, I turned off that always prompt and I say archive. Notice there's no dialog comes up. It just instantly goes to that location with the previews not saved. Right, so that's a quick way to prevent mistakes, particularly if you have one location. So that's setting up Archive Manager. I highly recommend you do it because, again, we have people calling us going, I just lost years of jobs that I've saved because my Fiery had to get reloaded. And it's like, I'm sorry, we can't get them back. So use Archive Manager, save yourself a lot of tears down the road. And on that note, you can also back up your Fiery. Again, not the most glamorous of jobs, but really essential. So use Fiery web tools to back up your Fiery. Just type your Fiery's name or IP into a web browser. If you're on a remote computer, you may get the a browser warning message saying, I don't know the certificate of this server. It's okay, it's not a website on the internet, it's just on the Fiery, so it's okay to proceed. But here's backup and restore, the important bit. So I won't do the actual backup now, I'll just explain the two different types. One is backing up Fiery resources and settings, right? So it's only the settings, including server presets, job log. Let me show you. I'll just show the list of things. Whoops. Helps if you turn off caps lock. Right. So here you go. System settings, pre-flight presets, your virtual printers, your server presets, all of that. Job log is all included. So then you just choose a place to save the file, and it comes out with a file in like 1 minute. Usually 100 meg or less, depending on how much stuff you're backing up. So that's a really quick way to grab your settings. So do that as soon as you got your Fiery set up. And if you're creating server presets all the time, I'd do that intermittently. I'd do that, every now and then, particularly after you've created a lot. Fiery system image, this is the full shebang. This is an image of the entire Fiery, including the operating system. It includes all the patches, everything. But it does not include print jobs. And there's a reason for that. We bypass them because this image is here to get you up and running in the case of emergency, right? New hard drives installed, or something like that. For some reason the Fiery got corrupted, maybe a virus or something. So the image can get you up and running straight away, but you may have made that image 6 months ago, and the jobs that were in the queue then are not relevant to you now. They would have just made the image so much larger and so much slower to reinstall. So we bypass print jobs, but we include everything else. And of course it says here, use Archive Manager to archive the print jobs like I just showed. So system image, if you go in there, you can do it right now. You can back up right now to like a USB drive, worth doing. Or you can even set it to do it periodically on its own. Set it to do it monthly or weekly or whatever you like. Just be aware, this image takes a while. The Fiery has to take itself offline into like a maintenance mode. And then it's going to take probably an hour or a bit more to back up the image. And then it will put itself back online and back into idle as soon as it's finished. Right, so that's something good to do when you're leaving the office, perhaps at night. Let it go and do that. So then it'll be up and running, while you're out. So I know it's not an exciting topic, but it really will save you headache down the road if you can make sure that you're backing up. You can back up your hot folders too, by the way. Hot folders, whether they're on the Fiery or another place. File, backup and restore. And then you can click backup, choose a location, and it stores a copy of all of those, right? So yeah, so that is the backing up of the Fiery.
So Greta, we have a question related to this. How often should I back up?
Yeah, so it depends on, like I said about server presets. If you're not using server presets, or maybe you're not creating that many that often, then I would say probably back up the settings at least quarterly, monthly or more. Again, if you're doing a lot of server presets, you could do it every week if you wanted. It's really up to you and how many presets you're making, because it's going to save you time, obviously, if you lose them. But as far as the image, the full system image, I would say quarterly or at least twice a year, because that means that it's never going to be that far out of date with patches and stuff. So to restore a system image on a brand new, fresh hard drive is maybe an hour or so, which is a lot faster than restoring, from system software, the full shebang. But yeah, I'd say maybe monthly on the settings if you're doing presets all the time, and quarterly or half yearly on the image.
Good. Another question, how can I get help inside Command WorkStation?
Yeah, good point. You can indeed. So we have the traditional help menu, of course, with Command WorkStation Help itself. You've also got a page of online resources, but we've actually put a whole lot of resources in one place for you under Smart Search. So this little blue button down here in the bottom left, it's sort of a bit well hidden, but click on that. It brings up a dialog. I've just been searching for presets, but you could do whatever you want. Search on whatever you want there. It actually searches across EFI.com. It searches our community's website. It searches our knowledge base. It searches the help as well. So you can see a whole lot of different hits from different things. Here's information about using gang up with hot folders from the help files, automatic gang up in position with hot folders. So this is a really quick way to be able to search using natural Google search, like natural language. And I'll just open this. It opens up into your web browser. It's also a good way to see if you're looking for something about a problem. You can also open that up for looking at our, hang on, for some reason my web browser's got a problem, but it will open up and show you in your web browser all of those hits. I'll try once more. No, unfortunately not great right now. Okay, in that case I'll just show you where you end up. Sorry about that. If you go to communities, so communities.efi.com is our website where everyone's can post questions, find answers, and we've actually got a lot of users all around the world helping each other with problems or questions that they've got. And I'm there too. In fact, most of we've got engineering representatives from most of the teams. People like myself are there. I'm posting about new releases, answering questions as well. And you can see here, people asking, okay, he's seen a problem, someone else answering it. How do I get a trial of JobMaster, that sort of thing. So this is a really great place. If you've got a problem, go in here, search. If you can't find the answer to it, you can ask a question. And it's also a brilliant place for feature requests. So if you really want to find if you really want a feature, we've actually had feature requests in every release we've done in the last couple of years. Have all had at least 1 or 2 items based on feature requests from the forums, from communities. I still call them forums. So this is a great resource. We use it all the time. We highly encourage you to use it too, because you can help yourself there.
Thank you, Greta. And while you get your breath, before we move on to the Q&A, I just want to quickly tell everybody about another resource, which is our online learning platform, where we have hundreds of free courses, we have express videos, how-to guides, and this is where you would go to attain a Fiery certification, and much more on there. And note that when you receive the link to this presentation in a few days' time, all the links are live, so you just need to click the link, register, and then you can start learning right away. We also have another resource that you may not know about, and that's Fiery Free Trials. And this page gives you access to free 30-day trials, Fiery applications that are actually free of charge, and also demo software. Again, the link on the page that you'll see in the presentation does take you right there to download free trials and free software. Okay, so before we go into the Q&A, very quickly, we're going to take a second poll, and this time in the poll there are 2 questions there, and you should see it on your screen now. The first one is, how many Fiery servers do you have in your organization? And secondly, how many Command WorkStation client installations do you have at your organization? And please remember to answer both before you press submit. Thank you.
If you don't see the second question, just scroll down a bit and you will see it. Well, we have a question, Greta. What's the maximum number of Command WorkStation connections to a Fiery server?
Yeah, we generally recommend under 10. So we don't set a hard limit. So you can have 11 Command WorkStations connecting to one Fiery server, but anything over 10, you're going to get degrades in performance, not just on the Command WorkStation speed, but also the Fiery server itself. So really stick to the rule of 10 or less per Fiery.
Okay.
Carlos, do we have the answers to the latest poll?
Yes, just in 14 seconds.
Okay, you were
when
quick
it is
there.
working. Yes. Just give me just 9 seconds. I'll show you. So we have the poll results here. You can see it now.
Okay, good. Okay, so we do have a fair few people with just 1 Fiery. And we have quite a few people with 3 to 4. So yeah, good to know. And it's interesting to see the ratio between the how many Command WorkStation installations as to how many Fiery servers at organizations. So yeah, thank you for filling that in. Okay, so on with the Q&A. And if we don't get to your question, you will get the Q&As in the follow-up email. So Carlos, would you like to give us another question, please?
Yeah. First question is, how do I find out if my Fiery server is compatible with the latest version of Fiery Command WorkStation?
Yeah, good question. So on EFI.com, let me go there. We've got a great web page that shows you all about it. Hang on, not that. I'll go back to the default page. Under products, Fiery Command WorkStation. Right, so in this case, I'm going to select cut sheet. Then you can say, find the right Fiery Command WorkStation for your Fiery server, right? And this brings up a table showing the latest versions and whether you can connect to the server from that version. So if you look at 6.6 and 6.7, well, you can connect all the way down to FS150 Fieries, right? Whereas if you look at 6.2 to 6.4, you can go right down to Fiery System 10. And if you click on one of these links, this is helpful, one of these links up here, it actually brings up a page. You have to do the whole filling in thing. And in here is a list of all of the versions, and each one, it shows which Mac OS, which Windows version, and also which versions it supports connecting to. Right, so you can see here 6.5 supports FS100, whereas 6.6 supports FS150 onwards. So this is a good summary page that shows you across the board every version, its OS support and its Fiery system support. But yeah, it's all on EFI.com.
Good, thank you. Next question is, how often does Command WorkStation get updated?
Yeah, we do a major feature release about once every 9 months to a year, right? So that's like going from 6.6 to 6.7 as a major release. But we also do monthly releases, and those are generally bug fixes. Sometimes we include some smaller features in there too. So the monthly releases come out. They're in Fiery Software Manager. It will notify you of the major releases with a pop-up saying, hey, there's a new version. But the minor releases, they'll just show they're available. So we do encourage you to update if you've got time to those minor monthly releases, because again, you get the latest bug fixes, latest compatibility. But if you install a new computer and you download Command WorkStation from the web, you'll always get the latest.
Great. Next question. Do you have a try before you buy Fiery Impose?
Yes, Kerry can answer that one.
Yes, we do. So the page that I mentioned earlier, the free trials page, if you visit that page, you can see all the free trials or all 30-day trials on there, and Fiery Impose is one of those.
Okay. There it is.
Can you, sorry.
On screen,
Can
sorry.
you give a few more examples of when tags could be useful?
Sure, yeah. So tags can be useful for, like I said, by customer name, could be by username, could be by status, like finished by end of day, could be by media. You could tag it for particular media, could be by finishing type. This is a booklet, this one's business cards, anything you like. So literally anything, any way that you like to slice and dice and sort your jobs, you can use tags to do that. So it's really a completely free and open field for you.
How do you set up one-off sample print for a held job?
A one-off sample print for a held job. Oh, so in that case, you just use proofprint. So if you go in here and you've got a job, and let's say that job is set to, so I assume this is what they mean. Let's say the job's set to 500 copies, right? And you want to check it, you can actually do a proof print of that job. So if you just say print, you'll get all 500. However, if you right click and say proof print, you'll get the job but only one copy, and it still maintains the copy's value as 500. Right, so just one comes out for you to check it, but it's still maintained that there's 500 on the actual job itself. I hope that answers the question that you mean.
Is dark mode coming soon in a future CVS release?
I wish it was. I really would, because I use dark mode across, all my software. But it's a lot of work. It's something we're looking into. We're actively looking into it, but there's a lot of different places we have to update in order to make that work. So it's something I hope to have in the future, but it's not. It's not in the next release. Sorry.
Okay. If you archive from an old Fiery RIP, can you import to a completely new Fiery RIP?
Yeah, totally. So it's a good question. So if you have archives, like I've got an older Fiery and a whole bunch of archives, you can import archive jobs. So let me show you. I'll set one up for you. So let me archive. Of course, I told it not to. 1 moment. Yeah, I've got archives on the E. There we go. So if imagine I had an older Fiery job sitting somewhere on a drive, I can say import archive job, and then browse to the location of that. So in this case, okay, add. It was on my E drive. There we go. Right, so imagine these came from an older Fiery or a different Fiery. Then I can select that, select the folder. Folder reflects the job name, the job title, plus this number sequence added at the end. Then select the folder, and then the job comes in with all of its settings. Just be aware that, there we go, that should work. 1 moment. I might have had to go the folder up. Yeah, I did, sorry. Let me do that once more. E archive 3 and select folder. Okay. There we go. So add the folder one above, and now all of the archive folders within are visible. Just be aware that if you're bringing in archive jobs from a Fiery with different job properties, right? So each Fiery has its own set of job properties that are unique, you know, because they might have different finishes available or different page sizes supported, different color modes, etc. Anything that's not available on the current Fiery will be just set to job defaults, right? The job properties defaults. So pretty much if we can do a match one-to-one, so the majority of your fields, things like, you know, paper size, job name, you know, all sorts of things, those all could be usually matched, and so they will work directly. All those settings will be kept. But anything that's not a match, and that could be also things like paper catalog, right? They won't be a direct match on the target server. They'll all go back to default. So make sure to check your job properties after you bring in those archive files.
Okay, thank you. For full system backups, can you point to an off Fiery location?
You can, absolutely, but you can't for the automatic backup, right? So the automatic backup backs up to the Fiery hard drive, and then we expect you to be able to move that off at another time at your leisure. If you want to do a full system backup, then you can when you do a manual backup.
Okay. My automatic backup seems to be set for a certain day at time. How is this changed? Can you schedule for Fiery image backup?
Can you read that once more?
Yeah, my automatic backup seems to be set for a certain day and time. How is this changed? Can you schedule for the Fiery image backups?
Yeah, totally. So you see, I went back to Web Tools and I selected Backup and Restore, and then selected Fiery System Image, right? And then here under Schedule Backup, this is where I can go in and say, right, so I can say monthly, weekly, daily, whatever. And this is where you can select the different intervals, right? So I can say monthly, or I can say just these particular months. So if I said monthly and all, then every month on the second day of the month, it will back up at midnight. If I said monthly, but only selected certain months, then now only on those months. So you could set it up a year and ahead, right? To say on the 2nd of January, July, and December, it's going to back up at that particular time. Yeah. So that's the way to schedule it.
Good, thank you. Please explain the difference between a full backup and a Fiery clone.
Right, yeah. So Fiery Clone tool was a tool that we made years ago. It was one of my first projects in EFI. And that was the predecessor to this backup that you see here. So Fiery Clone tool was a separate tool that you loaded off DVD, and it made a full image of the Fiery onto USB or wherever. This system image backup replaced Fiery Clone tool in the later servers, and it's all built into the Fiery system now. No DVD required. So they're basically the same thing, except this is the more advanced version, more recent version.
Good. Can you export Fiery presets from an older Fiery and import them into a newer Fiery?
You can, with caveats. So let's say this is an older Fiery, Fiery Color 1. Double click on Device Center, go into Workflows, Job Presets, and then you can here export presets, and it exports to a file, right? So exported presets.fjp. That file can then be imported to another Fiery server. However, if the presets are not a one-to-one match for job properties, again, everything that's not an exact match will be set to defaults, and that includes paper catalog, right? So I can go in, I'll close this, and I can go into Fiery Color 2 and then import that preset file, and you can choose to override or replace too. So import, I can say merge with existing or replace existing. So I'm going to say merge with existing. So that means anything that has a same match, it will overwrite, but anything that doesn't, it will add a new entry for it. So you won't end up with duplicate entries, or at least you shouldn't do. That's importing all of those presets. There were quite a lot in there, right? So that's the way to do it. But officially speaking, it's only supported for a one-to-one match of the Fiery model and version, right? So two Fieries of exactly the same flavor. However, We don't stop it from working between different flavor firies or different ages. It's just that you've got to know that job properties aren't a direct match. So when you first use those presets, check them, make sure all of the job properties are the way you want, and then you can save again over the top to make sure, yeah, it's got everything there. That's all.
Okay. How do you delete a tag?
Cool. Yep. Yeah. There we go. Presets are all in. You can see I've now got stacks of them. Delete a tag. Yes. Go back to all jobs. In here, right click, go to tags. And, oh, good question. I thought you did it here. I might have to get back to you on that. I thought it was here, but at the moment, you can uncheck it so it's not being used by a job. But as to actually completely removing it from the interface, I thought it was here, but it's not. So I'll have to get back to you on that. Sorry.
Okay. Last question we have is, are there restrictions on what format the file needs to be in for archiving? Spooled, processed, printed?
No, no restrictions. Any file that can be ripped or held by the Fiery can be archived.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of this webinar. We would like to know what you thought of this webinar, and therefore we would like to ask you to fill in a short survey so that we can improve our webinars in the future. So when leaving the question, you will see the survey on your screen. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed this presentation. Don't miss the next World of Friday webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.